What's up guys, welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. I'm your host Caleb. If you want to support me, you can now follow me on Patreon. Not only is it the best way to support the channel, but additionally you'll get more say in what decks I cover. Special shout out to my high contributing patrons. Newsome, you rock. Now let's get into today's Deck Tech with Cecily. And this is the weekly voted patron build. They chose Cecily, but I gotta choose the partner and I'm choosing Othelm. Now the goal of this deck is to trigger her ability as many times as possible and as fast as possible, right? We just want to be casting broken instant and sorcery spells. So the way we're going to do that is a power matters strategy. So we're going to slam stuff on the battlefield like a Yargle and Multani, sacrifice it to something like a Greater Good, and then bring it back to the battlefield for 2 mana. Seems extremely broken. And then once we get 11 cards in our hand, which again is not very hard in this deck, we're going to send our opponents back to the Stone Age by casting a Ruinous Ultimatum for free. Or hey, Storm Herd, you guys ever heard of that? It's a pretty busted card in a commander, turns out, when you start out with 40 health. So there's a lot of broken things we can just slam onto the battlefield and take control of the game instantly. Our opponents will be constantly playing catch up as soon as we start getting our strategy off, and it's also very unassuming. You just see Cecily and Othelm in the command zone and you have no idea what the deck's trying to do. So without further ado, if you want to get into this unique deck tech, let's get into it. Let's kick it off by talking about how we can abuse both of our commanders. First off, we have Ruinous Ultimatum, just a solid board wipe that only hits our opponents. It's going to be backbreaking. Azuri's Predation, the fact that we can just attack and then out of nowhere say, oh yeah, Azuri's Predation, you have no blockers, that just seems pretty fun to me. Storm Herd can just win us the game if we have a big enough life total. Emergent Ultimatum, now this is going to grab us our 3 most broken cards, and then our opponents are going to be left to choose with which ones we get to cast. Call Forth the Tempest, Last March of the Inns, and Hit the Motherlode are going to be perfect targets for this. Even Storm Herd is insanely powerful here. Unite the Coalition is just super flexible and it's free here, so we don't even care that it costs 7 mana. Mizzix's Mastery is really busted late game. We do have a somewhat mill strategy in the deck, so if all of these broken instant and sorceries end up in our graveyard, we can easily fire off a Mizzix's Mastery and cast them all. Now let's talk about abusing Othelm. Sneak Attack's going to be perfect here because we can spend 1 red to go ahead and throw any creature onto the battlefield, and then we use Othelm's ability to put them on the battlefield permanently. So this is essentially 3 mana can cast any creature in our deck. Dothy Voidwalker is pretty busted. The fact that we can use this guy multiple times is going to be very oppressive. Muldrifter, kind of some cool tech here. We can evoke Muldrifter, then spend 2 mana to draw 4 cards instead of just 2. Magus of the Will, again, this is just a 4 mana wheel that we can repeat over and over again. Not the most efficient, but definitely broken in those grinders. Hidetsugu and Kiri were made for this deck. They have a broken ETB on top of a broken die trigger, so now we can easily put those broken instant and sorcery spells on top of our library. Sacrifice Hidetsugu, cast the broken instant and sorcery spell while dealing a ton of damage to our opponents, and then we just get to spend 2 mana and bring them back. Cards like Atraxa are just going to be super busted in this deck. She enters the battlefield, digs us deep, finds us our Life's Legacy. We can then sacrifice her to draw 7 cards and then pay 2 mana to bring her back, getting the ETB again. It's super abusable and fits the strategy perfectly. Atali Primal Conqueror, kind of the same thing, right? Sacrifice this guy, draw a ton of cards, bring him back to the battlefield, enjoy that broken ETB again. Uro is kind of the worst version of this, but still welcomed in the deck. Ruthless Technomancer and Disciple of Bolas just have amazing ETBs that we will want to reuse, so the fact that we can sacrifice them and then bring them back to sacrifice giant creatures is just going to be amazing in the deck. Moving on, let's get some big creatures on the battlefield. Nissa Ascended Animus is going to be perfect in this deck. She just makes a bigger and bigger creature every turn, not to mention she is very flexible and can remove some stuff for us or be a Craterhoof Behemoth. Demigoth Titan's pretty good in this deck as well, just a very cheap 11/10 that we can abuse. Yargle and Multani, again very cheap, 18 power, very abusable in this deck. Galta Primal Hunger, again very good. The fact that we can pay 2 mana to shove a 12/12 on the battlefield is just busted. Altar of the Wretched is very flexible. It can be card advantage, mill us a little bit, and then we can actually turn it into one of our big creatures to then sacrifice for more value. Life's Legacy, Momentous Fall, Greater Good, and Greven Praetor Captain are all effects that draw us a ton of cards by sacrificing a creature. The Skullspore Nexus Nexus is going to be busted in this deck. Not only does it double the power of one of our creatures, then we can sacrifice it for value, right? It's also going to replace that creature, and then again, we can double that creature's power next turn. This card just goes insane and can result in us killing the entire board with something like a Gerard Gilgari Lichlord, right? Having this guy on the battlefield and then just sacrificing massive creatures to deal a ton of damage to our opponents is going to be a solid way to close out the game. Ziatora the Incinerator, a little slower, but it does net us treasure tokens. Savala Heart of the Wilds is going to make it to where we can just start hard casting our busted spells. Mink Skin Boo, not only is this amazing removal, but again, it draws us a ton of cards while making a massive creature. Rishkar's Expertise and Return of the Wild Speaker are very useful. We don't have to sacrifice the creature to draw a ton of cards, which is also, again, just very useful. Shark Typhoon is kind of funny in this deck. Remember, we are casting a bunch of instant and sorcery spells that are going to be massive, so getting a massive flying shark after we cast them is just funny to me. The Great Hinge, this is going to cost 2 mana in this deck and just provide a ton of value. Moving on to the core of the deck, we do have Terror of the Peaks. While we're abusing our Atraxas or just our giant Yargle and Multanis in this deck, it's going to be very solid to deal a ton of damage to all of our opponents. Likeness Looter, Rona Herald of Invasions, and Shirakai Genesis Engine are going to be very useful early game to get those massive spells out of our hand and hopefully draw us into some useful spells. Notably, in a pinch, we can actually reanimate Shirakai and sacrifice him to draw a ton of cards as well, so it just fits into the theme of the deck. Eternal Witness to get something back from our graveyard. Again, this is really useful because we can sack it, bring it back, kind of abuse that ETB. Underworld Breach for those explosive turns where we have Savala out and all the mana in the world. Enlightened Tutor just so we can grab that Skullspore Nexus. I really love it in this deck. Beast Within, Anguished Unmaking, Generous Gift, some solid removal that'll get rid of anything. Dam is going to be a solid board wipe that's very flexible. Bane of Progress, again, it's going to hose over those enchantment strategies, the artifact strategies while being massive, so it just helps our game plan out as well. Moving on to ramp, we have Bloom Tinder and Fairborough Elder. These both tap for 5 mana, which is going to be busted. Then we have Secure Tribe Elder, Nature's Lore, 3 visits Farseek, and then every signet that produces green. That way we're able to cast our ramp early game. We also run Fell Warstone and Soul Ring. Get into with this playtest. We've got 3 Triumphs, Last March, Fellborough Elder. Yeah, it's got Elder in it, we keep it. That's just that. Tapped, draw a card next turn. Then we need a white source, so do that. That'll enter tapped. Next turn, throw down this, and then instantly drop our Elder. Now we go to our next turn. We need a red source, so that's red, black, blue. 4th one, Cecily. Now this taps for 5 mana. We can slam. Ooh, I don't think it'll tap for double green, though. That's a little awkward. We'll slam Rona and this. There we go. That'll work out. Next turn, slam this tapped. This guy's got 5 power now. And now we can slam this, and then create a 8/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we attack, draw a card. We can draw and discard a card. We'll discard this right here, and then 2 green to drop the Skullspore Nexus. Well, next turn's going to be busted. Okay, we'll do this. We'll up this. That'll give us a... Where's my horror? There we go. That'll give us a 9 power creature, and then we just pay 2 mana here for the Skullspore Nexus, make it an 18, right? And then we 1, 2, tap this for 5, 6. Last March of the Ends. Let's see what we get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay. So we'll play Atali, we'll play Galta, we will play Magus of the Wheel just cause, Likeness Looter, Mole Drifter, and Bloom Tinder. Did I miss anything? Nope, I'll draw 2, or sorry, Eternal Witness, returning. Do I have to exile this? Why? Okay, yeah, that goes back to my hand because that's a thing. And then we're gonna go ahead and draw 2 cards off of the Mole Drifter. Cool. Then look at our hand. We've got all the cards in the world in our hand. When we attack with Cecily, we can go ahead and call forth the Tempest to. Actually, we could just. Never mind. I'm dumb. We last March of the Ents again. Remember that card? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 cards. Okay. And then we could slam this. Actually, did we draw what I wanted? I don't think we did. Oh, Savala. Okay, so we did draw Savala. And then additionally, oh no, okay, yeah, we did draw Terror. Okay, so we draw Terror, and then we can Ruthless Technomancer the 18 power creature to get 18 treasure tokens, so that's cool. Let me just put that before I forget about that, because I will definitely forget about that. Treasure tokens, let's go to 18. There we go. And then any other creatures? Uro. This is not that's a vehicle. Don't want to make that mistake. Oh, and Gerard. Oh, Gerard and Terror of the Peaks that's gross. We didn't resolve the Atali trigger. I should have probably. Okay, I think that's it. Now here's the thing with Savala doesn't have haste. I wish she did. But I kind of want to try to win here without passing the turn. And Atali might be the easiest way to do that. Oh, we need a sack outlet. Gerard, duh. So we'll use 3 treasure tokens going down to 15. So 1/5 here to deal 7 damage to all of our opponents, and then Atali will die, right? We can then use. Do we have any mana open? We don't, because everything has summoning sickness. So we will then set this to 13, and then use our othelm to bring Atali back. We'll get an Atali trigger. Okay, so we get Damn. Not too bad, but not great either. And then, so that'll give us 7 damage on one player, and then additionally, we're going to get the Atali triggers. We don't know what the Atali triggers are, sadly, but that's kind of dope there. And then additionally, we deal 7 damage because of Terror of the Peaks. So 7 damage to everybody, 14 damage to one player. Now, let's see if we can. Oh, wait, do we have Underworld Breach in hand? I'm stupid. We play Underworld Breach, guys. We go to 11, right? Set counter to 11. And then now we just need a sack outlet, which is our Gerard. Okay. So we set counter to, we're going -3 again. So that's going to be 8 treasure tokens. Sacrificing our Galta to deal 12 damage to everybody. So now 7 plus 12, that's going to be can't do math, 19. And then it's going to be easy. We got to fill our graveyard somehow. Oh, this does not have the haste. It does not have haste. Because we really need a full graveyard here. So I guess we should have gone to discard or something. I'm not sure. Oh, here we go. Greater good. Okay. Going down to 8 treasure tokens. Or sorry, 4 treasure tokens. So now we only have 4 treasure tokens left. So what we will do here is we will sacrifice the Ruthless Technomancer to draw 2, discard 3. And then we're instantly going to exile those 3, recasting the Ruthless Technomancer. This should be in the graveyard too. To sacrifice the Atali for 7 more treasure tokens. So this will go up to 7. Okay, and then we can actually do that again. We can sacrifice the Ruthless Tech. Actually, we'll do this first. We'll use 2 treasure tokens to go to 5. I'm gonna get comments like this 30-minute turn. Okay, so we'll go to 5 treasure tokens, bring this back for 2 mana since pretty sure the power adds up to at least 10 to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we're there. And then we can go ahead and easily sacrifice Ruthless Technomancer again. Draw 2, mill 3, go down to 1 treasure token, bringing Ruthless Technomancer back, exiling 3 cards, sacrificing the Galta, getting 12 treasure tokens. So this will go to 13. Okay, now that we're there, I think we have enough treasure tokens. So we can easily go ahead and exile 1, 2, 3, cast our Galta here for 2 mana, going down to 11 here. Set counter, 11. And then we actually might have to, I'm just going to sacrifice these 3 right here and then mill 9. I think I'll draw like 5 cards off of that, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to get to where we can sack. Oh, wait, we did draw into Yargle and Mokatani. So maybe we just cast them and sack them to Gerard instead. And that's going to speed this up a lot. So yeah, let's do the treasure token thing one more time. I'm going to sacrifice Ruthless Technomancer to draw 2, discard 3. And then I'm going to cast Ruthless Technomancer for 4 treasure tokens, sacrificing Galta, netting me 12. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we can easily cast this for 6. And then use 9 right here to sacrifice it to Gerard, going down to 10. So now we have 10 treasure tokens. We've done 18 damage to everybody just then. We've already done 7 to everybody because of the Atali. And then I'm not sure if we sacrificed Galta once, but anyway, we'll just use 6 more mana to cast them again and sacrifice them again to there. And that's everybody's dead. We got there, guys. Sorry that took so long. We are getting the Terror of the Peaks triggers here as well. But turn 6 win. There we go. We kind of did get a lot of the good pieces that we needed for this deck to work, but I think you can kind of see how this deck can just kind of do some crazy things. Underworld Breach is a good card, right? But yeah, you have a lot of creatures with a lot of power. So Ruthless Technomancer with Underworld Breach, something to fuel the breach, so greater good. And then you have your Galta. You do need a lot of pieces to make this work, right? This wasn't just Underworld Breach is a good card because you need your Breach, you needed your Greater Good, and you needed your Ruthless Technomancer with a creature with a lot of power. So it's not like get Underworld Breach, win the game, but if you have the right pieces, you kind of just get there. I hope you guys enjoyed this playtest. Sorry it was so long, but this is kind of one of those 5-head decks that you kind of got to piece together your win sometimes. But at the same time, it's just fun casting some free spells, free, very expensive spells for, insane value. The fact that we were able to get March of the Ents off twice there was just kind of crazy. Kind of makes me happy. The deck works. It's a fun deck. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below. I would like to take this opportunity to to thank my patrons, Newsome, Excessum, Chicken Salad. You guys are amazing, as well as all of my other patrons that join me for the weekly voted deck tech. Again, they voted for this one, and this is why this deck exists. If you want to become a part of that, becoming a patron and joining the Discord is the way to do it. Thank you guys for all that you do, and as always, I hope this helped you in your deck building endeavors. I will see you in the next one.